Warning not to be attracted by you, even Estella.
How does she use you? How does she use you? What, are you tired of me?
Only tired of myself.
Speak the truth, you ingrate. You are tired of me. You, stock and stone. You cold, cold heart.
What? Do you reproach me for being cold? You?
Are you not?
You should know I am what you have made me. Take all the praise, take all the blame. In short, take me.
Oh, look at her. Look at her. So hard and thankless. On the hearth where she was reared, where I took her into this wretched breast, when it was still bleeding from its stabs, and where I lavished years of tenderness upon her.
At least I was no party to the compact, for if I could walk and speak, when it was made, it was as much made as I could do. But what would you have? You have been very good to me, and I owe everything to you. What would you have?
Love.
You have it.
I have not.
Mother by adoption, I have said that I owe everything to you. All I possess is freely yours. All that you have given me is at your command to have again. Beyond that, I have nothing. And if you ask me to give you what you never gave me, my gratitude and duty cannot do impossibilities.
Did I never give her love? Did I never give her a burning love? And she speaks thus to me. Let her call me mad. Let her call me mad.
Why should I call you mad, I of all people? Does anyone live who knows what set purposes you have half as well as I do? I, who have sat on this same hearth on the little stool, learning your lessons and looking up into your face when your face was strange and frightened me, but nevertheless treasured up in my memory. When have you found me false to your teaching? When have you found me unmindful of your lessons? Be just to me.
So proud. So hard.
Who taught me to be proud? Who taught me to be hard? Who praised me when I learnt my lesson?
But to be proud and hard to me. Estella, to be proud and hard to me.
I must be taken as I have been made. The success is not mine, the failure is not mine, but the two together make me.
Gentlemen, may the present promotion of good feeling ever reign predominant among the finches of the grove. Gentlemen, raise your glasses, if you will, once more to a certain lady with whom I have a rather close acquaintance.
Well, who'd have thought it? Bentley Drummle.
Come on, Drummle, who's the gal?
Yes, come on, Drummle, you are honour bound to tell us.
Gentlemen, to Estella.
Estella who?
Never you damn mind.
Estella of where? As I think you were about to say where?
Of Richmond, and a peerless beauty.
Much she knows about peerless beauties, the mean, miserable idiot.
Mr. Bentley Drummle and Miss Estella Havisham.
Makes me wretched that you should encourage a man so generally despised as Drummle. You know he is despised. You know he is as ungainly within as without. A deficient, ill-tempered, lowering, stupid fellow.
Well?
Well, that is why it makes me mad.
Don't be foolish about its effect on you. It may have its effect on others and may be meant to have. It's not worth discussing.
But I have seen you give him looks and smiles this very night, such as you never give to me.
Do you want me then to deceive and entrap you?
Do you deceive and entrap him, Estella?
Yes, and many others. All of them but you.
Who is downstairs? There is someone down there, is there not? What floor do you want? Ah! Who are you? What do you want with me? Pray, what is your business?
Yeah, I'll explain myself. By your leave, Mr. Pip.
That is my name. What is your meaning?
It's disappointing to a man after having looked forward so distant and travelled so far. But you're not to blame for that, neither is us to blame for that. I'll speak in half a minute, just give me half a minute. There's no one nigh, is there?
Ask that question.
You're a game one. I'm glad you grown up a game one, but don't you catch hold of me. You'd be sorry if you'd done that. You're acting noble, dear boy. Noble, Pip, and I never forgot it.
Stay, keep off! If you are grateful to me for what I did when I was a little child, I hope you have shown your gratitude by mending your way of life. If you have come here to thank me, it was not necessary. But you are wet and look weary. Will you drink something before you go?
Yeah. I'll drink something. I thank you. Before I go.
I'm sorry if I spoke harshly to you just now. How are you living?
Well, I've been a sheep farmer and stock breeder. Other trades besides. Out in the new world.
I hope you have done well.
Oh, I have. I've done wonderful well. There's others went out along with me done well too, but none of them done nigh as well as me. I'm famous for it.
I'm glad to hear it.
I hope to hear you say so, dear boy. I hope to hear you say so. Might I be so bold as to ask how you've done so well since we last met out on them shivering marshes?
I came into some property.
Well, might a mere warmint ask whose property?
I don't know.
Well, might a mere warmint ask what property?
I don't know.
As to your income since you're coming of age now, may I be so bold as to make a guess as to the first figure? 5. You must have had a guardian. Some sort of guardian while you was a minor, a lawyer perhaps. Now as to the first letter of that lawyer's name, J. Now being as the lawyer, the employer of that lawyer, whose name begins with J, might be your Jaggers, has come all the way over the sea to Portsmouth. Now, however did I find you out? Why, I wrote to a certain person in London for particulars of your address. That person's name, Warwick. It's me, dear boy! I done it! I made a gentleman on you! It's me what done it! I swore, if ever I earned a guinea, that guinea would go to you. I live rough that you might live smooth. I worked hard that you might be above work. Why do I tell it you? I'll tell it you for you to know that low-down, dunghill dog what you kept life in got his head so high he could make a gentleman. And Pip, you're him! I'm your second father! for you to spend. When I was a hideout shepherd in a solitary hut, never seeing no faces except faces of sheep till I half forgot what men's and women's faces looked like. I saw yours. And I said, Lord, strike me dead if I get my liberty and I get money. I'm going to make that boy a gentleman. And people have done it, I mean, look at you. Look at your lodgings. Fit for the Lord. Your linen. Fine and beautiful. Your clothes. I mean, better rate than we got. And books, mounting up on the shelves by their hundreds. And you read them, don't you, Pip? And you shall read them to me. And if they're in foreign languages like what I don't understand, I shall be just as proud as if I did. Don't you mind talking. You haven't slowly looked forward to this like I have. You wasn't as prepared. But did you never think it might be me?
No! No! Never. Never, never.
But it was. And single-handed.
Was there no one else?
No. Who else would there be? Pip, word of warning. Caution is necessary.
How do you mean caution?
It's death.
What's death?
I was sent for life. It's death to come back. I should certainly be hanged if took. And there's a certain gentleman goes by the name of Compeyson. Compeyson would give both his eyes, his arms and all his legs to see me swing. Why, you may ask? Well, many years ago, for certain reasons I shan't go into now, I fell in with Compeyson. Lord strike me, I wish I never had. I was always in debt to him, I was always working, I was always getting into danger. He was younger than I was, but he had craft, and he had cunning, and he overmatched me 500 times over, and no mercy. The times I spent with Compeyson were as bad a times as I've ever spent. Suffice it to say, we got caught. When I was standing in that dock with him, first thing I noticed, what a gentleman Compeyson looks. And what a low-down wretch I look. Now when it comes to speech-making, Compeyson can fill his speeches with verses and such like. Me, all I can say is, gentlemen, this man beside me is a precious rascal. And when it came to sentencing, because of his fine character, Compeyson gets 7 years. Me, 14. We was in the same prison ship together. But I couldn't get at him for long, but I tried. And at last I escaped. And I was out there among them tombstones, envying them that was in them, when I first saw my boy. And by my boy I'm led to believe as Compeyson is out on them there marshes too. So I hunted him down, and I smashed his face. And I would have swum off with him, towed him by the hair, and got him on board without them soldiers. But didn't Compeyson always get the best of it, even at the last, because of his fine character? His sentence was light. Me, slapped in irons, sent back to trial, sent for life. But I didn't stay for life, suffice it to say. And you're the gentleman what I made.
But where are you to live? Where will you be safe?
Well, I mean, black clothes, you know, disguising wigs, and hair powder, spectacles, and shorts. Others has done it before. Others has done it before. What others has done before, others can do again.
It appeared to me that I could do no better than secure him some quiet lodging hard by, and that the secret must be confided to Herbert was plain to me.
We'll have him on his oath, mind.
I next discussed with him what he should wear. He had, in his own mind, sketched a dress for himself that would have made him something between a dean and a dentist. I won him over to the assumption of a dress more like a prosperous farmer's.
Now, Pip, be careful. Don't commit yourself. Don't commit anyone. You understand? Anyone. Don't tell me anything. I don't want to know anything. I am not curious.
I merely want, Mr. Jaggers, to assure myself that what I have been told is true.
But did you say told or informed?
Let us say informed.
Good.
I have been informed by a person named Abel Magwitch that he is the benefactor so long unknown to me.
That is the man in New South Wales.
And only he.
And only he.
I am not so unreasonable, sir, as to think you at all responsible for my mistakes and wrong conclusions, but I had always supposed it to be Miss Havisham.
As you say, Pip, I am not at all responsible for that. Now, Pip, Magwitch, in a letter to me from New South Wales, you understand, had appeared to have obscurely hinted in his letter at some distant idea he had of seeing you in England here. I cautioned him that I must hear no more of that he was expatriated for the term of his natural life, that he was not at all likely to receive a pardon, and that by presenting himself in this country would be an act of felony, rendering him liable to the extreme penalty of the law. I gave Magwitch that caution. He guided himself by it, no doubt.
No doubt.
Good day.
I would sit and look at him, wondering what he had done, and loading him with all the crimes in the calendar. Once I actually began to dress myself in my worst clothes, hurriedly intending to leave him there with everything else I possessed, and enlist for India as a private soldier.
Handel, my dear fellow, how are you? And again, how are you? And again, how are you? I seem to have been gone a 12 months. Why, so I must have been, for you have grown quite thin and pale. Handel, my...
Herbert, something very strange has happened. This is a visitor of mine.
Right, put your hand there. And swear on your life and kiss it. And spit on it.
Do as he wishes, Herbert.
Indeed, Lord strike me dead and so on if I'd spit it all on the spot, whatsoever.
Right. You're on oath, mind.
My poor dear Handel, I'm too stunned to think.
So was I, Herbert, when the blow first fell. Still, something must be done.
Handel, you feel convinced that you can take no further benefits from him, do you?
Fully. Surely you would too if you were in my place.
And you have, and are bound to have, that tenderness for the life he has risked on your account.
Of course.
Then you must save him, if possible, from throwing it away. The first and the main thing to be done is to get him out of England. You will have to go with him, and then he may be induced to go. But get him out of England, extricate yourself in heaven's name, and we'll see it out together, dear boy.
My dear Herbert, you are right, of course I know. But, before I embark upon this journey, I must return to my old village. And there are two people that I must see first.
Gentlemen, may the present promotion of good feeling ever reign predominant among the finches of the grove.
Mr. Drummle, what on earth are you doing here?
Just come down. Beastly place. Your part of the country, I believe.
Have you been here long?
Long enough to grow tired of it.
Do you stay here long?
Can't say, you?
Can't say.
Yes, there are some tracts of marshes hereabouts. I need to explore in the saddle, don't you know? Yes, little out of the way villages, country pubs, smithies. Waiter! Is my horse ready yet? Oh, and the lady don't ride because of the weather. Oh, and I don't dine here tonight. I dine with the lady. Been to the Grove recently?
No, Mr. Drummle. I did not seek this conversation, and I do not find it an agreeable one.
I'm sure you don't. I don't think anything of it at all, good day.
blows you up here, Pip?
I wish to speak to Estella, but what I have to say to her, I will say before you, presently. Miss Havisham, I am as unhappy as you could ever have meant me to be. I have found out who my patron is. It is not a fortunate discovery, and is not likely ever to enrich me in reputation, station, fortune, anything. There are reasons why I must say no more of this. It is not my secret, but another's.
It is not your secret, but another's. Well,
when you first caused me to be brought here, Miss Havisham, when I belonged to that village over yonder that I wish I never left, I suppose I really did come here as a kind of a servant, to gratify a want or a whim, and to be paid for it.
Aye, Pip, you did.
But when I fell into the mistake that I have so long remained in, you led me on.
Yes, I let you go on.
Was that kind?
Who am I? Who am I, for God's sake, that I should be kind?
But you humoured my mistake, Miss Havisham.
I did. You would have it so. What has been my history, that I should be at pains to entreat you not to have it so? You made your own snares. I never made them.
Estella, you know that I love you. You know that I have loved you long and dearly. I should have said this sooner, but for my long mistake. It induced me to hope that Miss Havisham meant us for one another. I know I have no hopes now that I shall ever call you mine, Estella. I am ignorant of what may become of me very soon. How poor I may be, or where I may go. Still, I love you. I have loved you since the first moment that I ever saw you in this house. It would have been cruel in Miss Havisham, horribly cruel, to practice upon the susceptibility of a poor boy, and to torture me through all these years with a vain hope if she had reflected upon the gravity of what she did. But I think she did not. I think in the endurance of her own trial, she forgot mine, Estella.
It seems that there are sentiments, fancies, I don't know how to call them, which I am not able to comprehend. When you say you love me, I know what you mean as a form of words, but nothing more. You address nothing in my breast, you touch nothing there. I don't care for what you say at all. I have tried to warn you of this now, have I not?
Yes.
Yes. But you would not be warned, for you thought I did not mean it. Now, did you think so?
I thought and I hope that you could not mean it. You, so young, untried and beautiful, Estella, surely it is not in nature.
It is in my nature. It is in the nature formed within me. I make a great difference between you and all other people when I say so much. I can do no more.
But is it not true that Bentley Drummle is in town here and he is pursuing you?
It is quite true.
That you encourage him and ride out with him as he dines with you this very day?
It is quite true.
You cannot love him, Estella.
What have I told you? Do you still think, in spite of it, that I do not mean what I say?
You would never marry him, Estella.
Why not tell you the truth? Yes, I am going to be married to him.
Dearest Estella, do not let Miss Havisham lead you into this fatal step. Put me aside forever. You have done so, I well know it. But bestow yourself on some worthier person than Drummle, for your own sake.
I am going to be married to him. The preparations for my marriage are making, and I shall be married soon. Why do you injuriously introduce the name of my mother by adoption? It is my own act.
Your own act? To fling yourself away upon a brute?
On whom should I fling myself away? Should I fling myself away upon the man who would the soonest feel, if people do feel such things, that I took nothing to him? There, it is done. I shall do well enough, and so will my husband. As to leading me into what you call this fatal step, Miss Havisham would have had me wait and not marry yet, but I am tired of the life I have led, which has very few charms for me, and I'm willing enough to change it.
Such a mean brute, such a stupid brute!
Don't be afraid of my being a blessing to him. I shall not be that. Come. Here is my hand. Do we part on this, you visionary boy or man? You will get me out of your thoughts in a week.
Out of my thoughts! You are part of my existence. You are part of myself. You have been in every line that I have ever read. You have been in every prospect that I have ever seen. On the river, on the sails of the ships, on the marshes, in the clouds, in the light, in the darkness, in the wind, in the woods, in the seas, and in the streets. Estella, to the last hour of my life, you cannot choose but remain part of my character, part of the little good in me and part of the evil. But in this separation, I will always associate you only with the good. For you must have done me far more good than harm. God bless you. And God forgive you.
Now, Mr. Pip, I accidentally heard yesterday morning that a certain person, not altogether of uncolonial pursuits, we won't name this person,
Not necessary.
had made some little stir in a certain part of the world where a good many people go, not always in gratification of their own inclinations, by disappearing from such place and being no more heard of thereabouts. I don't tell you this on information received. I heard it. Oh, all right, ain't you, Aged P?
All right, John.
All right.
Mr. Webb, have you heard of a man of bad character whose true name is Compasson? Is he living? Is he in London?
Now, questioning being over, I come to what I did after hearing what I heard. I went to find Mr. Herbert.
And him you found?
And him I found. I gave him to understand that if he was aware of anyone, Tom, Jack or Richard, being about the immediate neighbourhood, he'd better get Tom, Jack or Richard out of the way.
He would have been greatly puzzled what to do.
Oh, he was greatly puzzled what to do at first. But after having been, well, all of a heap for half an hour, Mr. Herbert struck out a plan. A house with a bow window, being by the riverside, down there at Mill Pond Bank. Mr. Herbert put it to me, what did I think of that as a temporary tenement for Tom, Jack or Richard? I said I thought very well of it. For when it been proved, if you should wish to slip Tom, Jack or Richard on board a foreign packet boat, he'd be there, ready. Here's the address. I don't think there's any harm in you going down there tonight, making sure all is well with Tom, Jack or Richard. You're very welcome, I'm sure, Mr. Pip. Now, aged parent, we shall have toasted sausage for our tea.
All right, John.
All right. Oh,
Mill Pond Bank was a fresh kind of place where the wind from the river had room to turn itself around. Selecting from the few queer houses a house with a wooden front and 3 stories of bow window, I looked at the plate upon the door and knocked.
All is well, Handel, and he is quite satisfied and eager to see you.
Dear boy.
With the aid of Mr. Warwick, I have devised a plan. Might we not row out into the river ourselves and intercept a passing steamer bound for the continent, allowing you both to leave our shores unreported?
Coming back was a venture. I always knew it would be a venture. I've no intention of making it a dangerous venture, but I feel safe in your good hands.
We are both good watermen, Handel, and could take him down the river ourselves when the right time comes. No boat would then be hired for the purpose, and no boatmen. That would then at least save a chance of suspicion.
Next day I set myself to get the boat. It was soon done. And so Herbert and I began to go out as for training and practice. Herbert, oars. I could not get rid of the notion of being watched. Once received, it is a haunting idea. In short, I was always full of fears for my rash friend in hiding. Herbert had sometimes said to me that he found it pleasant to stand at one of our windows after dark when the tide was running down and think that it flowed with everything it bore towards the sea. But I thought with dread that it flowed towards Magwitch, and that any black mark upon its surface might be his pursuers, going swiftly, silently, and surely to take him.
If you can ever write under my name, I forgive her. Though ever so long after my broken heart is dust, pray do it, Pip.
Oh, Miss Havisham, I can do it now. There have been sore mistakes, and my life has been a blind and thankless one. And I want forgiveness and direction far too much to be bitter with you.
What have I done? What have I done, Pip? I stole her heart away and put ice in its place.
Better to have left her a natural heart, even to be bruised or broken. Whose child was Estella? You don't know. But Mr. Jaggers brought her here. Will you tell me how that came about?
I've been shut up in these rooms a long time. I told Mr. Jaggers that I wanted a little girl to rear and love and save from my fate. He told me he would look about him for such an orphan child. One night he brought her here asleep, and I called her Estella.
Might I ask her age then?
2 or 3. She herself knows nothing of it, but she was an orphan, and I adopted her. What have I done? What have I done?
As I was descending the stairs, an irrational fear gripped me, and I determined to check that Miss Havisham was as safe and well as I had left her. I looked into the room, and I saw her standing on the hearth close to the fire, with her back towards me. In the moment I withdrew to go quietly away, I saw a great flaming light spring up.
and a revengeful woman. Revengeful, Hannah, to the last degree.
What last degree?
Murder.
Whom did she murder?
Why, the deed may have not merited quite so terrible a name, but she was tried for it, and Mr. Jaggers defended it. She was acquitted. Now this acquitted young woman and our friend had a little child. A little child of whom our friend was exceedingly fond. One evening the young woman presented herself before Magwitch in a fury and swore that she would destroy the child, and he should never see it again. Then she vanished.
Did the woman keep her oath?
There comes the darkest part of Magwitch's life. He is convinced she did.
Herbert! Look at me!
Dear boy, I do look at you.
Touch me.
Well, I do touch you, dear boy.
You are not afraid that I am in any kind of a fever, or that my head is much disordered by the accident of last night?
No, my dear boy. You're rather excited, but you're quite yourself.
I know I am quite myself, and the man we have in hiding down the river is the father of a son.
So, you know the young lady's father, Pip?
Yes, from New South Wales.
And on what evidence does the father make his claim?
He does not make it. He has never made it, and has no knowledge or belief that his daughter is in existence.
I'll put a case to you, Pip. Mind, I admit nothing. Put the case that a woman, under certain circumstances, held a child concealed. Put the case that her legal advisor concurrently held a trust to find a child for an eccentric rich lady to adopt and bring up.
I follow you, sir.
Put the case that her legal advisor often saw children solemnly tried at a criminal bar, cast out, neglected, transported, qualified in all ways for the hangman, and growing up to be hanged.
I follow you, sir.
Put the case that here was one pretty little child who could be saved, whom the father believed to be dead, and to whom, over the mother, the legal advisor held some sway. Put the case that the child was saved. Can you comprehend the imaginary case?
I understand you perfectly, sir.
And that I make no admissions?
But you make no admissions.
Put the case that the child grew up, was married for money, the father, who was still living, knew nothing of the child's further existence, the secret was still a secret, except that you had got wind of it. Now, put that last case to yourself, Pip, very carefully.
I do, sir.
For whose sake would you reveal the secret? For the father's? I think he would not be much the better for the knowledge. For the daughter's? I think it would hardly serve her to establish her parentage for the information of her husband and drag her back to disgrace.
Our plan was this. The tide, beginning to run down at 9 and being with us until 3, we intended still to creep on after it had turned and row against it until dark. The steamer for Hamburg would start from London at about 9. We should know at what time to expect it, according to where we were, and would then row out to intercept it.
Early as it was, there were plenty of scullers going here and there that morning, and plenty of barges dropping down with the tide. Herbert? Oars.
Out among the tiers of shipping, in and out, avoiding rusty chain cables, frayed hempen hawsers and bobbing buoys, and then out at last upon the clearer river.
If you knew what it was like for me to sit here along of my boy and smoke my pipe after having been atwixt four walls for so many years. You'd envy me.
If all goes well, you will be perfectly free and safe again within a few hours.
It was much harder work now, but we persevered and rowed and rowed and rowed until the sun went down.
Is that a boat yonder?
What was that ring?
Handle!
It was 9:30 when we saw the smoke of the steamer for Hamburg. As it came on at full speed, we got our 2 bags together. Goodbye, Herbert.
My dear Handel.
Suddenly, a 4-oared galley shot out from under the bank but a little way ahead of us and rowed out into the same track. Sit quite still.
Trust to me, dear boy.
Meantime, the galley had fallen alongside us.
She kept alongside, drifting when we drifted and pulling a stroke or two when we pulled.
In the prow was a sitter wrapped up who seemed to shrink and whisper some instruction as he looked at us.
Row for the steamer.
You have a return transport there. His name is Abel Magwitch. I apprehend that man and call upon him to surrender.
At that very moment, they rammed the galley aboard us.
Come!
In that hunted, wounded, shackled creature, I only saw a man who had meant to be my benefactor, and who had felt affectionately, gratefully, and generously towards me, and with great constancy through a series of years. I only saw in him a much better man than I had been to Joe.
I see my boy. My boy will have to be a gentleman without me.
His ignorance, poor fellow, at last served him. He never mistrusted but that my inheritance was quite safe. Of course, being convicted, all his possessions would be forfeited to the crown.
A gentleman should not be seen to belong to the likes of me now.
I will never stir from your side. Please God, I will be as true to you as you have been to me. He lay in the prison infirmary, very ill. He had broken 2 of his ribs, that had wounded one of his lungs, and he breathed with great difficulty.
You never deserted me, boy.
I could not forget that I had once meant to desert him. Are you in much pain today?
I don't complain, boy.
You never do complain. Magwitch, I must tell you now at last. You understand what I say? You had a child once, whom you loved and lost. She lived and found powerful friends. She is living now. She is a lady and very beautiful. And I love her.
You're under arrest.
What do you want? I don't know you.
You're under arrest.
What do you want? I don't know you. What is the debt?
Come to my house. I keep a very nice house.
£123.15 and 6.
You're under arrest.
Come to my house. I
This
keep
is a
a
matter that you
very
should
nice
arrange
house.
right
My
now,
dear
sir.
sir, I would come with you if I could, but as you see, I am quite unable. If you were to take me from this place, I think I should die upon the way. I think I should die upon the way, sir. I think I should. Is it Joe?
With your air, old chap.
Oh, no, Joe, you break my heart. Look angry at me, Joe. Strike me, Joe. Tell me of my ingratitude. Do not be so good to me.
Hey, we were ever the best of friends, weren't us?
How long have I...
It's the end of May, Pip. Tomorrow is the 1st of June.
Oh, God bless him. God bless this gentle Christian man. And have you been here all this time, Joe?
Well, and thinking how we were ever the best of friends, and how you might be in the company of strangers, and that a visit from an old friend might not be unacceptable. And Biddy, she say you go to Mr. Pip without loss of time, without a minute's loss of time.
Miss Havisham, Joe. Is she dead?
That she is, Pip.
And have you heard what becomes of her property?
Well, she settled most of it. As I mean to say, tied it up on Miss Estella.
If you would like to hear, Joe, of all that has happened...
Pip, we were ever the best of friends, weren't us? But that settled them. And why go into subjects, old chap, which betwixt two such must remain forever unnecessary? Supposing you ever kept any little matter to yourself when you were a little child, you kept it mostly because you knowed as J. Gargery's power to part you with tickler sunders were not always equal to his inclinations. So therefore, think no more on it betwixt two such, and do not let us pass remarks upon unnecessary subjects.
This time together, Joe, I can never forget. There were days once I know that I did for a while forget. But I never shall forget this.
Pip, there has been larks. And dear friend, what have been betwixt us, have been.
Not wishing to intrude further, I have departed. For you are well again, dear Pip, and will do better without Joe.
P.S. Ever the best of friends.
Enclosed in the letter was a receipt for the debt and costs on which I had been arrested. Joe had paid it, and the receipt was in his name. What remained for me then but to follow him to the dear old forge, and there to relieve my mind and heart of that reserve.
Oh, has it come to this? Has it come to this? It was only to be expected. Only to be expected. So, be off to see Joseph.
In God's name, what does it matter to you where I am going?
Will you listen to it? The ingratitude towards his earliest benefactorial personage. How dare you, sir? Him as I had in my shake cart. Him as I witnessed to be brought up by hand. I was right to do it. It was good to do it. It was benevolent to do it. It was true to do it. It was great to do it. And I would do it again. Good day to you, sir.
The early hour meant I had a little time before it might be convenient for me to be welcomed at the forge. So, I decided to walk over to Miss Havisham's old house. I wanted to spend just a little time there alone, for Estella's sake. I had heard of her as leading a most unhappy life, and as being separated from her husband who had used her with great cruelty. I had heard of the death of her husband, from an accident consequent on his ill treatment of horse. This release had befallen her some 2 years before. For anything I knew, she was married again. Stella.
Pip, I wonder you know me yet. I'm greatly changed.
After all these years, it is strange that we should thus meet again here, Estella, where our first meeting was. Do you often come back?
I have never been back here since. I've often thought of you.
Have you?
Of late, very often. There was a long, hard time when I kept far from me the remembrance of what I had thrown away when I was quite ignorant of its worth. But since my duty has not been incompatible with the admission of that remembrance, I have given it a place in my heart.
You have always held your place in my heart.
I little thought that I should take leave of you in taking leave of this spot. I'm very glad to do so.
glad. To part again, Estella? To me, parting is a painful thing. To me, the remembrance of our last parting is ever mournful and painful.
But you said to me, God bless you, God forgive you, and if you could say that to me then, you will not hesitate to say that to me now. Now, when suffering has been stronger than all other teaching and has taught me to understand what your heart used to be. I have been bent and broken, but I hope into better shape. Be as considerate and good to me as you were, and tell me if we are friends.
We are friends.
And we will continue to be friends apart.
I took her hand in mine, and we went out of the ruined place. And as the morning mists had risen long ago when I first left the forge, so the evening mists were rising now. And in all that broad expanse of tranquil light, they showed to me. I saw no shadow of another parting from her.